Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen.
Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to a Tuesday night with the Four Horsemen. John, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. John and I are back at it again. This time we're covering, in today's video, our tournament number 13 quarterfinals matches. We are almost done with the quarterfinals series for tournament 13. And thanks, John, for your friendship and also for all your commentary, man. I think it's made a really big difference on the channel to have, regular commentary from you and others, and really appreciate you supporting this format.
It's fun. I enjoy doing it.
Check us out, everyone, at fourhorsemenmagic.com if you'd like to learn more. And for this tournament, you can go to tournaments and go to tournament 13 if you'd like to check out the details. All the deck photos, brackets, and all that stuff are posted up there if you'd like to take a look. This tournament ran in the spring from March 29th through May 5th, so it's been a while, right, John? Like, what are we, July 2nd here?
Well, I got to watch a match in one of our other videos that I played in that I didn't remember, so, it's kind of nice to come back to these fresh. And you're in this match, but I haven't seen it, so we'll see how much you remember about it.
It's been a while, man. Let's take a look at the brackets. So we had a ton of players in this tournament, number 13, and it was a lot of fun. There's some just fantastic deck photos. Really encourage you to check out fourhorsemenmagic.com and check out all the cool decks. We've covered the first three of the quarterfinals, and tonight John and I are going to be covering my match versus Paris Smith. Tonight, I'm going to be playing the Disharmony Rukh Valley. Disharmony has been one of my favorite cards to tinker with in Four Horsemen. Really cool combos, some interesting stuff. And my opponent is my opponent Paris Smith is going to be playing his unstable Bloodmoon deck, running cool stuff like Unstable Mutation, Staring Dib, Bloodlust, Ball Lightning, and Bloodmoon. Really cool cards. Let's take a look at my deck first. John, you remember this deck, I assume, because we did some deck testing with some variants.
Yeah, it's really solid. I like your green splash for the Urnums and the Sylvan Library, which is just the best draw engine that we have in this format. I feel like if you stick it early, sometimes that just determines the game. And then you're just playing a lot of the really efficient red and blue spells. And then, of course, your little combo with the Disharmony and the Diamond Valley. And I believe that either this tournament or the tournament before was the first time that we restricted Diamond Valley. And to supplement, it looks like you're playing a couple of Safe Havens, which is a cool little combo, too.
Yeah, that's right. Safe Haven is a card that I was tinkering with, because you gotta have something to allow you to sacrifice the creature that you steal with the Disharmony. And if you don't have a Diamond Valley, or you don't have something like, I don't know, let's say like a Tawnos Coffin, or something like a Safe Haven, something that functions, that allows you to do something with that creature, then the Disharmony is not as good, especially once your opponent knows you're playing it. And since, we share our deck photos for the quarterfinals and beyond, everybody knew if they looked at my deck photo that I was playing Disharmony. Disharmony is a great surprise when your opponent attacks with two big creatures, like an Urnum Djinn and a Juzum Djinn, right? It's fantastic. You play the Disharmony, you steal their Juzum Djinn, you block their Urnum Djinn, and they might get their Juzum back. Or if you have Diamond Valley or Safe Haven, you can sacrifice that creature with the Diamond Valley and you gain life, or you can pop him in the Safe Haven and he just vanishes. So the Safe Haven's a really functional card, And these are actually Chronicles safe havens that have been Sharpied black bordered.
Classy.
Yeah, yeah, big time throwback. You see, I've got your Rook tokens that you printed up for us. So the ever-present Rook egg is also in the complement here, along with Chain Lightnings and Falling Stars.
I really also like your use of the Field of Dreams in the sideboard there. I know that Millstone's kind of a pet card of yours, and I do like those two cards together. You can kind of lock somebody out of drawing anything useful if you happen to go up against a control deck.
Yeah, it is very, very powerful to be able to do the Millstone Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams also is very powerful in destroying cards like the Abyss or Living Plane, any other world enchantment that we're seeing a lot of those played right now, particularly things like Land's Edge. The Abyss is still pretty common, and there's also a Concordant Crossroads that I'm running, also in the splashing green, along with a couple of crumbles for some artifact kill. But the Concordant Crossroads is also an interesting card because I've got a lot of creatures that come down for 4, and depending on the decks you're playing against, sometimes just being able to attack when you come into play if you come up against another control deck is also really powerful.
Absolutely.
The ghost ships also made an appearance. I really started realizing how powerful Ghost Ship is watching you and Peter run these blue decks and running Ghost Ships and Azure Drakes and things like that. So the Ghost Ship has just turned out to be a rock star powerhouse as well in Four Horsemen.
It's really good having a flying regenerator. It doesn't seem like a 2/4 should be that great. It seems but even the vanilla version, the Azure Drake, the 2/4 flyer is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you staple the regeneration on top of that, it's just a real roadblock for some decks that they can never quite get around. It really allows you to stabilize in some games that you probably shouldn't be able to,
Mm-hmm.
and then dig out of the hole and come back and win.
Yeah, and then of course the blue and red are incredibly powerful colors. I think we've had more probably blue-red decks in the top 8 than any other color combination. But mono blue in of itself, you've shown that it is super, super strong. So the remove souls and a couple boomerangs to complement. Anytime I'm running Sylvan Library, I'm always running a Jaloom Tome because those two drawing engines together work really good. You can put the card you want on top, and then Jaloom Tome it away into your graveyard to help you with drawing. So that's the only non-creature artifact I have is that single Jaloom Tome. And we already talked about the Triskelions, ever-present, ever-powerful Triskies. Those guys are bad boys. And I wasn't really all that sure about it, but the Urnum Djinns ended up as a 2-of in this deck, mainly so that I could have some ground defense and not get overrun. And they do come out, for 1 green and 3. So I opted for 2 Urnums and the 3 Ghost Ships and the 4 Triskelions and Rooks. And then along the bottom, Falling Star was also between the Disharmonies stealing my opponent's attackers and the Falling Star, which can wipe out any creatures that are 3 power toughness 3 or less. What I found was, being able to attack with something like an Urnum or a Ghost Ship and get in for a point or 2 of damage, and then you can Falling Star after combat to get rid of creatures that blocked. That's actually turned out to be a pretty good combo for Falling Star, in addition to wiping out smaller creatures.
Yeah, I think Falling Star is a card that we're gonna see more and more of. It's funny, we didn't really see much of it in the first dozen tournaments, and then suddenly, I don't know, somebody just said, "Hey, this card's great. I don't know why nobody's playing it," and then it started just showing up, in several different lists. But it's a pretty solid answer in this format. And even if you're only using it to tap their creatures, even if it doesn't kill their creatures, sometimes it helps you break the line and get through when you need to.
Yeah, that's right. It can be used to basically tap their guys so you can get through with your attack. And the chain lightnings are good for that too. You know, the chain lightnings, the falling stars, they're both very similar in that they don't really kill a lot of creatures, especially the tough ones that have strong defense, but they can allow you to get rid of a creature in combination with combat damage, or the falling stars can clear the way so you can get through. But the real powerful combo is the falling stars and chain lightnings with the rook eggs.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I mean, that's just a fun old school combo to be able to either hit your own Rook with the falling star and kill some of their stuff at the same time, or chain your own Rook and then still have the opportunity to bounce it and kill something else.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. And then the 4/4 flyer you get is very solid in this format. You know, if they don't have something like a boomerang or a Taunus's Coffin to get rid of it, a 4/4 flyer is pretty hard to deal with in this format.
Yeah, it really can be. And you know, the other thing about those safe havens, the safe havens do another interesting mechanic that I found to be very valuable, and that is, you know, some of the biggest things you're worried about right now in terms of your combat interaction, instance, and things like that, are things like Spirit Link, right? Enchanting your creature, just taking it out of action. I'm not playing Serendib Efreet in this deck because of Spirit Link and because of Mazavith and because of all the Azure Drakes and Ghost Ships that are out there. You know, when you add all that up, Serendib Efreet becomes a real liability. And there's other things too, like Demonic Torment, and there's Gaseous Form. You know, there's other enchant creatures, Backfire even, that can just neutralize your Serendib. So I went a different direction, and I realized that the safe havens can also help with combat interactions. If someone tries to, you know, bloodlust a creature or boomerang a creature, if someone tries to Spirit Link my dude before combat, or, you know, a lot of people are playing Active Volcanoes and Flash Floods like I'm playing. If someone tries to pop, you know, one of those instants off, well, if I have the mana and I want to save my creature, I can pop my own creature into the safe haven as well, which is, I think, the primary design of that card is to put, that's why it's called safe haven, to put your creature in it and keep it safe. And you do have to sacrifice it at some point, but, you know, you could put 2 or 3 creatures in there and then sack it later and get them all back.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I did the same thing as you. I cut, even though Serendib Efreet is a pretty efficient creature, we have seen in this format that, you know, if the games get locked up, it actually does become, like you said, a liability over time. And I played various mixes. I think I played Efreets and Drakes once, and then I played the Efreets and Ghost Ships, and then this time I played the Drakes and the Ghost Ships and no Efreet.
Mm-hmm.
And just decided that even though it was nice to have a creature at 3 rather than 4, I would forgo that and just you know, be patient enough to get out the slightly better creature. I mean, you are losing an attack as well, but you don't have to worry about that one-sided copper tablet every turn.
Right. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah. So this is the Disharmony Rukh Valley. You know, in retrospect, I look back now, my 61 card is the mana drain. I really should have just taken this down to 60 cards. The Urnum Gens probably don't need to be in this deck, to be honest. I either need 4 of them or none of them. So if I were to be making changes now, I think I would shave off those 2 Urnums, and I would put in probably the 4th Ghost Ship and move that mana drain into the 60th slot. The other thing that I found was a problem with this deck is, you know, between the 2 safe havens in the Diamond Valley and the Workshop and the Maze of Ith, you know, that's 5 lands that don't give me mana. Well, the Workshop does, but only for the Triskelions or the single Jaloom Tome. So having 5 lands that don't give you mana is a serious drawback. And I knew that, which is why you see I'm running 28 lands, but 5 of them don't tap for mana.
Yeah, that's it can potentially get you into a bind, especially with 3 colors. Although, really, I mean, the 2 color and the splash is pretty safe.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know,
But the problem I ran into in a lot of my matches was I was drawing too many lands. You know, I mean, I'm 2 cards short of half my deck being lands. And
Yeah.
so I found that was just, it was just too challenging to have only all these lands in your hands, 5 of which don't tap for mana. You know, there were some games where I got a lot of these non-mana lands early, and it just lost me the game straight up because I couldn't play anything. So I would cut one of those safe havens, and I would cut the 2 Urnums, and I would put that mana drain, and I would put the 4th ghost ship, and I think for the last slot, I might just move that 3rd boomerang in, because having those boomerangs early to get rid of the early creatures is really important, along with those falling stars. Okay, so let's take a look at Paris Smith's deck. I really like this deck, and Paris has played, I think, in 4 or 5 of our Four Horsemen tournaments, and his decks have increasingly got better and better each iteration, each tournament he's played. And I think this is probably one of his best decks. It's got some really interesting stuff. What do you think of Paris's blue-red unstable Bloodmoon build?
Yeah, I like the aggressive version of this for sure. He's playing the efficient creatures. I think the Serendipity makes a lot more sense in this deck than in yours or mine, where we've got kind of a more mid-range strategy. This, of course, just wants to stick things quick and kill you. It's got the unstable flying man, combo that's pretty good, or you can throw it on one of those Zephyr Falcons. I like. I always like seeing like weird cards pop up. I like that little. He's just playing the one of the little island walking guy. Which I guess it's nice to have a little land walk in your deck just in case you run up against blue, which is pretty prevalent in this format. So that's just like some free damage to get a little extra and push them over the edge.
Yeah. And, Paris has also done a really good job with his mana curve here. He's running 22 lands, which is really right on the line. I think 23. I think if he had put in either, one more island or maybe even one Mishra's Factory to get him to that 23 land. 23 seems to be the sweet spot most of the time if you're not running Fellwar Stones. So he's right on that at 22. A lot of his cards cost 1. He's got an entire column here of cards that only cost 1. Between the Bloodlust, the Boomerangs, the Zephyr Falcons, the Removed Souls, he's in the mana drain. He's got a lot of stuff that costs 2, so he can easily do the 1, 2, and then 3s. The 3 mana counts. He's got the Ball Lightnings, the Blood Moons, and the Serendipity. So I really like his mana curve, and the mana ramp of it should be really easy to play. He can get in for a ton of damage early with those Flying Men and Zephyr Falcons and the Bloodlusts and Unstable Mutations. We're seeing a lot of this in Tournament 14. In fact, this lightning strike red-blue strategy with the Unstable Bloodlusts, really powerful.
I like seeing those enchantment alterations too. I think that's kind of fun. He can either, he can move an unstable onto a new creature and get the benefit all over again, or he can get a Spirit Link off of one of his guys. If he gets a Spirit Link dropped on one of his Serendips, he can just move it on to something else less desirable. They're kind of a neat little trick to have up your sleeve when you're trying to make sure you don't lose advantage and don't lose tempo.
Yeah, enchantment alterations. It's got a cool art. It's a card we all remember, and we didn't play it much when I was a kid. I don't ever remember playing it, but things like Giant Strength, and Unholy Strength. You know, those kind of cards were used a lot on the Sidewalk Magic days, and I'm sure Enchantment Alteration was used in some of those types of decks. Here, you're right. It's basically there for those unstables, or if someone slaps a Spirit Link. And we've been seeing a ton of that, right? The only time you see white is when they're playing Tax Edge, and or like William Kuhn's very innovative white weenie decks. Other than that, we don't see a ton of white. So, but when you do, it's absolutely crippling. And those enchantment alterations, like you said, allow you to kind of get around that issue of, ooh, you know, if they're playing white and I put my Serendib, it's going to be a big problem. Boomerang also accomplishes that. He's running 4 boomerangs, so you can boomerang things back if they're about to get enchanted or messed with. So yeah, I do think that that's a clever trick. It does seem a little combo-y. I'm not sure how useful it actually would turn out to be. I think the fact that he's already got 4 boomerangs kind of helps you cover that, but he might be wanting to use those boomerangs to get rid of the blockers. So, you know, it could be a really powerful combination. Once your guys get those counters and they're going to die, you just move that unstable right on over to the next guy.
A card that he's not playing that he could be playing in this list that would fit pretty well would be the Ooze. He could play the Unstable Ooze combo in this deck. It'd be right on curve for him. You know, he's trying to get 1-drops into Unstable anyway.
Yeah.
So that might be something he might consider in the future. Maybe he just thought it was too dangerous or too gimmicky. But you know, that's a consideration for sure.
Yeah. And you know, the Bloodlusts are also a really cool splash here. You know, when you add the damage of Chain Lightning, you can Chain Lightning straight to your opponent quite often, if you know, because you're not going to get rid of big flying creatures unless you block. But you do have that option. Since he's got a ton of flyers, he can use Chain Lightning before combat to get rid of a blocker, or after combat to finish off a blocker. Same for that Bloodlust. You know, if they don't have any blockers, you can get in for 4 more damage, which can be a lot. And if they do have a blocker, you can Bloodlust and get rid of that creature if it's a potential challenge. And he's also got the Ball Lightnings. They let you slide in there for 6 damage if you don't have a blocker in the way. So I really like what Paris has done here. And then to clinch it all, he's running 4 main deck Bloodmoons. You know, Paris looked at all the deck pictures. He saw how greedy everybody's mana base is, how many, utility and non-basic lands and dual lands everybody's using. So I really like the fact he's running, those 4 Bloodmoons main deck. In this deck, I think it's very smart, because if he can shut down his opponent's utility lands and dual lands, it'll give him that slight edge to maybe pull ahead in the match.
Absolutely, yeah, and I like too that his sideboard is like super utilitarian, and it's all like really low cost answers to things. In fact, I think almost his entire board is 1-drops. He's got the Artifact Blast, and then of course he's got the red and blue hate cards and the backfires and another enchantment alteration. So that's it's pretty neat. I think it really stays on theme, because you don't really want to have you don't want to change the composition of your deck so much that you're not still playing the same strategy after you sideboard. So that allows him room to bring some of that stuff in and still play everything on curve, and then just leave 1 mana up for one of those answers. And against the deck that Bloodmoon's not good against, he can take out some or all of those. He can take out the enchantment alterations or some of the boomerangs if those aren't as good. He has room to work, which makes this deck pretty flexible, I think.
Yeah, and I really like the Artifact Blast instead of things like Detonate, because his mana curve is so low. Mainly he's wanting to counter things like Triskelion, or opponents' artifact robots, Clockwork Avian, or even things like Felwar Stones. He wants to counter stuff that's going to mess with his strategy, and that 1 red to counter an artifact is super powerful, and a lot of folks don't expect it.
Well, if they're already on the back foot and they're expecting their trike to come down and stabilize the game for them, and you're able to blow it up with a 1 red artifact blast, you probably just won.
That's
like,
right.
You probably, just ended the game right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Artifact Blast is in there specifically for Triskelion in my mind. That's what it's there for. And it's a super smart strategy on the part of Paris to run it, because Triskelion's a 4 of in almost all these top tier decks in Four Horsemen. What do you think of this one-off Devouring Deep? We don't see that. I don't think we've ever seen that.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think blue's really heavily represented in the meta, even after the restriction of mana drain. So I just think it's smart. Sometimes these aggro decks come out real strong and then don't quite seal the deal. And if he can then, just drop an Island Walker and, get in there for some extra damage, that might be the difference in winning or losing a game.
Yeah, it's exactly right. If he's up against a blue deck and they can't deal with this guy, they can't block it with their flyers. Now the crazy thing is you combine that Devouring Deep with a Unstable Mutation, it becomes a 3/5 and it can hit for many turns. Or you put the Bloodlust on it and it can get through for a 5 damage that's unblockable. You're exactly right. That can clinch the game in the right scenario. And there's a ton of blue in all the top decks.
Yeah, pretty solid. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool deck. So hats off to Paris. Super smart build, and I think we've done extremely thorough of the job of doing the deck reviews. Are we ready to get into the match, John?
Let's do the match.
All right, let's do the match. Okay, so we are going to queue up our VLC players. And we are going to play simultaneously. John, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
We're off to the race.
Off to the races. So John and I are playing this match at 1.5x. And we got Paris in the Adidas blazer on the right. And you got me doing the pile shuffle on the left. Paris has Legends card sleeves here.
Yeah, those are cool. Those came out, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. Maybe it's longer now. And they did them for the the different Four Horsemen sets. I think they might have done Fallen Empires as well. I didn't end up picking any up because I've kind of just committed to sleeving everything in the same, so I can float things around. But they're awfully cool looking.
Do you know who did that? Who printed those, John?
I don't think it was Ultra Pro. I think it was like a Japanese company, but I could be wrong. But I know that people were importing them when I saw them pop up on Discord.
Man,
I could probably take a look around and see if I can find any now.
This would have been a genius idea for us to do.
Yeah, right. We should have beat him to the punch.
Yeah,
right?
I think we missed an opportunity there, because this would have been the ultimate sleeves to have for this format, and we could have printed them up ourselves. We still could. I mean, I don't know if they're violating any copyright doing this.
Well, I'm sure they're probably. I think they're licensed. I mean, the ones that he has, I think, are licensed sleeves. But I could be wrong about that as well. I didn't really look too deeply into it, but well, I have seen some players playing them.
Well, if they come from China, they're probably not licensed. Right?
You never know.
China.
Never know.
Okay.
Right, so I think that's a volcanic island.
Yes.
Proxy.
Yeah, that's a volcanic island proxy. And
here comes the Flying Man turn 1, which is exactly what he wants.
Boom. There it is. Paris is doing good on mana here.
We're going to get a Bloodlust here? No.
No Bloodlust. He's doing good on mana. Hitting those 2 mana early is really important since he's only got 22 lands in his deck. But it's unfortunate he didn't have the Unstable or the Bloodlust. He could already have me, at like 15 life if he had gotten his combo. And there's 8 cards to combo with those Flying Men, so it's kind of surprising he doesn't have a Bloodlust or a Unstable, but maybe he's saving the Bloodlust because he knows I'm running a bunch of big creatures.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, it's kind of neat that it can double as a removal spell. Oh, he's gonna bust your tempo by sending your island back to your hand. That's pretty fun.
Whoa. Now, I think that's one of Paris's sideboard cards, and if I remember correctly, um,
It is a sideboard card that really shouldn't be in game one.
Yeah, I think I talked to him about it, and I think we basically he had his sideboard in from his last match or something, and so I just told him to go ahead and leave it in for game one.
Rather than start over.
Yeah, rather than start over, because I I really like Paris's deck, and like there's only a few cards that's going to affect, and I was just like, let's just play.
Well, and funny enough, I mean, it might be a disadvantage to him depending on what he took out for it, you know.
Yeah, I mean the only I mean returning an island to my hand doesn't really affect me that much. And the only blue cards I had in there were those ghost ships, and they regenerate anyway. So I was like, let's just play. I didn't think it gave him that much of an advantage. But he's got this third turn Serendip right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good for him right now. I mean, these games can definitely turn, but he's in a good spot. You know, he's doing the thing. He's beating in and being
aggro deck. Look at there, Bloodmoon. Now this really doesn't hurt me because I have a basic island, which is what he doesn't want to see. So my
and you're basically blue-red, right? So like all you're really losing is access to green.
That's right. Looky here. Here's my Disharmony.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. So he's coming in with the Flying Man and the Serendip after dropping his Bloodmoon. So I'm playing my instant Disharmony. I can take his Serendip Efreet, block his Flying Man. His Flying Man will die, and then I take no damage, and he gets his Serendip back at the end of turn.
Yeah.
Now, I did have to discard my Rook egg because I ended up with 8 cards since he returned that island before my discard or cleanup phase. So that did cost me a Rook egg. That's why it's in the graveyard there.
Interesting. Well, I mean, that was probably worth it then. That was a 1-for-1. He got to use a blue hate spell to get rid of a red card, which is kind of interesting.
And it put me behind 1 land. Looks like Derek joined us here to spectate.
So he's still in good shape, but see, if you drop like a ghost ship now and he can't like get rid of it, like things are going to start to turn around.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing, right? And this is what we see with Four Horsemen meta. It's very different from any other, Oh, looky there, John's joining. You're joining in there.
Oh, there's me.
There's you.
Oops.
Yeah, it's a very different meta because things change. They change very fast and they change dramatically mid to late game. So, that's what I think makes the format exciting and dynamic and interesting. Okay, so
it's funny. I didn't remember that I jumped in and watched this match, so I've obviously seen this before, but it's long enough ago that I forgot about it.
Now, Paris is hitting a lot of mana here. I think with only 22 lands in his deck, he's probably hit a land clump. He only needs three mana, so I think that's probably hurting him. He should have maybe an extra creature, but that Disharmony did save me a turn of a lot of damage and got rid of that Flying Man. I've been able to get the Workshop out and get my Jaloom Tome out. Now, I'm doing pretty good on mana too, but you see, remember, John, I was telling you, like, this deck had a ton of mana, and I felt like I always had a lot of lands in my hand.
You opted not to use the Tome at the end of the last turn.
Yeah.
You had the mana up, you could have, so you must like what's in your hand.
I like what's in my hand, and I'm pretty sure I top decked that Forest. Otherwise, I would have, I think, used it, but maybe not because I'll never have any green because of Bloodmoon, unless I run into one of my two boomerangs. So, yeah, I think maybe I wanted that basic Forest since Bloodmoon is out. And now I can play anything in my deck, including Triskelion. Alright, so now I'm using the Tome. It looks like I'm at 16. No, I'm at 11, and Paris is at 16.
Or maybe 17, yeah.
How is he taking any damage from me?
Just from the Serendib. Nothing from you. Nothing from
Okay,
you.
that's right, from the Serendib. All right, so I'm down to 8 here. It's looking pretty dismal for me. More mana. I'm surprised I didn't Jaloom Tome that away. So that was I think I've hit probably 2 or 3 lands in a row here. The forest and that island.
I think you must have like I don't know, like a trike and a remove soul or something, like something that you want to keep playing lands so that even after you play something, you've got mana up to counter. Because otherwise, I think you would have just ditched that extra.
Yeah,
land.
I probably have a trike and a chain lightning or something like that. I also made. Oh, looky here! I have a falling star. Okay, so falling star flipped onto the. Oh, it doesn't kill that Serendib though. Yeah, so I have falling star and chain lightning. That's what I was holding on to, and it costs 4 mana to play both of those. So I had to do a 2-for-1 to deal with that dib.
That's not great, but it's also you had to do something for the time being to stay in it.
But look at how many cards Paris has. Even he's got 5 cards in his hand, even with that dib. Oh, a mana drain. That's really fortunate. That's really fortunate. That's reminiscent of our champion.
Yes, gotta have the single mana drain.
Gotta have it when you need it. Yes, exactly. It does. Okay, so there's the trike. So I'm using the 3 mana from the dib, and I'm playing my Triskelion. I've got only 2 cards in hand, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's got really full grip here.
I mean, I don't think it matters a ton, but optimizing, you would have probably used the workshop rather than your other 3 lands to cast the trike.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder why I did that. That's weird. I should have just used the. Well, oh no, the workshop is a mountain, John.
Oh, right.
That's why, because it's a Bloodmoon.
Yeah.
And he's got chain lightnings too. So one of the things I know that I'm doing is I'm keeping my double red up so that if he
he's got an Island Walker.
Oh, look at that. Now that could be a problem, but I do have the Triskelion. Look at me, I'm having to look up this guy. Yeah, he's definitely got sideboard cards in here that should not be in there game 1. Okay, so I can shoot that. He's a 1/2. That what's the name of that guy? That Island Walker?
Devouring Deep.
Devouring Deep. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about him right now. And if he tries to bloodlust him or unstable him, I can use my Triskelion counters. But I'm on the back foot big time here. Okay.
I mean, you can start beating in with your Triskelion now, though, and start evening things out.
And there's another Triskelion.
Yeah, attacking for 4 every turn, and then starting next turn attacking for 8 every turn is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Like you should definitely swing here. I don't know if you do or not.
Yeah, so I remove 1 counter from each of those Triskelions to deal with the Devouring Deep. Now here's a
That's interesting.
Yeah, because that
See,
way
I would have just swung first and gotten your damage, and then not worried about taking your counters off until you needed to.
Well, I figured he might try and bloodlust him or something like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I'm playing it real safe.
He can kind of screw you that way, I suppose.
But here's a lesson, right? I'm running enough basic lands to survive Bloodmoon, which is something you got to do in Four Horsemen because Bloodmoon's everywhere. And this is another key point that Bloodmoon, it doesn't hurt you that bad. And you see here, I still have 3 mountains instead of 2 taigas and a workshop. Yes, it kind of hurts, but it's not that bad for me, right? I'm dealing with it.
Right.
All right, so Jaloom Toming here.
He doesn't have Falling Star in his deck, does he?
No, he does not.
Okay, yeah. So you don't really have to worry about him wiping out both your trikes with one one shot.
Right. Now notice I've been able to get in for some damage now. So I just hit him with 2/3/3. So he took 6 damage, and he had already taken that Serendip damage. So now he's down to 7, and I'm at 8, and this game is starting to turn around.
Yeah, and then he drew another land. I mean,
Yeah.
he might actually be out of it now.
Yeah, you know, Paris hitting this land pocket, like, his deck has 22 lands. He shouldn't be hitting this many lands, statistically speaking. He's clearly hit a land pocket that is causing his deck to slow down substantially. That Disharmony early on helped me stay alive. And then the Mana Drain. I mean, that Mana Drain was critical. Helped me get that Triskelion out. Like, there's some major turns here that are very fortunate.
That was pretty risky of him. So he Chain Lightning'd you, and you could have just paid 3 to bounce it back at him and then killed him with the trike counters. Like, it would have been over right there.
Oh, I didn't even see that. You're right. Oof. And that's why I was keeping those reds up for that reason, and I didn't even... That's definitely a play error on my part. So I'm down to 1 here. Jesus. Okay, so I am Jaloom Toming?
I think he's on the ropes, though. I mean, if you swing for 6 here and then just pop him for 1, it's over.
So I Jaloom Tome. I've got 4 cards now. I'm swinging with the 2/3/3s. Get him for 6. And, yeah, then I can pop him with the counters. Wow! That was quite the turnaround there.
Yeah.
All right. John, let's let this run. Let's jump back to the decks, and let's talk about sideboarding.
Or de-sideboarding in Paris.
Yeah. Let's start with Paris's deck. I mean, obviously, it was an honest mistake on his part to have his sideboard in there. Even with the sideboard in, I was able to come back from that, which shows you the power of Disharmony and Mana Drain, because those were and Triskelion. Those are the 3 cards that turned that game. What would you be sideboarding here, John?
I think I'd want those artifact blasts, because your biggest threats are artifact dudes, and if he can get his early stuff down, and then continue to break your tempo and counter your trikes or whatever else you got in there, that's pretty good. He may or may not bring in those volcanic islands for your blue guys. I kind of like the Devouring Deep if he can make room for it. I think the land walk's pretty good. He could leave it in there, and maybe that's it. I think he'd probably take out, like the enchantment alterations, and he may opt to take some of the Bloodmoons out, because I mean, Bloodmoon did not really hurt you game 1, so
it slowed me down a little, but it didn't give him the clincher that it would, because I am running basic lands and I'm prepared for it.
Yeah. I think he might be just as better off having those be something else in those 4 slots.
Yeah.
So bring in some sideboard cards, take the Bloodmoons out, take the enchantment alterations. That gives him 6 cards to work with. So maybe the 3 artifact blasts, the Devouring Deep, and a couple of active volcanoes or something like that, and then call it a day.
Yeah, I definitely think I would be removing all 4 Bloodmoons. I would remove both enchantment alterations, and if he really thinks about it, knowing that I've got Disharmony really messes with his unstable Bloodlust strategy. So he doesn't have any more creatures in his sideboard, though, other than that 1 Devouring Deep to substitute for them. Yeah, so I think he needs to pull out those 4 Bloodmoons and the 2 enchantment alterations, and I agree, the 3 artifact blasts and the 4 active volcanoes, and maybe I would take out like 1 Bloodlust to get in that 4th active volcano, so I had it in there.
Or like you said, maybe you don't rely on the unstables, since you know that they're not as good, or maybe Boomerang doesn't seem particularly good against you either.
Yeah.
So maybe that comes out for more answers. I don't know. He's got a lot of options.
Right. All right. Now for my sideboard, I'm checking the video here. I'm still shuffling up over here. We should quickly do my sideboard. I don't think I would sideboard much at all. Like, I don't really care so much about his Bloodmoon. I mean, I've got 8 islands. I was fortunate to have that 1 forest, but didn't need it. Like, I don't really care about Bloodmoon. So I don't think I'm going to be sideboarding in too much. maybe I would sideboard out one safe haven, and I would sideboard out maybe maybe sideboard out one safe haven and put in one active volcano or flash flood. I don't really think I would sideboard too much. All right, so
yeah, I mean, active volcano is still pretty good against like his dibs. That seems to be kind of his major threat that was beating in on you on game one. But you've got other ways to deal with it, you know.
Yeah. So I think I would just I've got the remove souls. I've got the disharmonies. Yeah, I think maybe I would pop out the 2 boomerangs, and I'd pop out the 2 safe havens and put in the 4 active volcanoes. That's probably the maneuver I would do here. All right, so
if you want to jump back over to the game, you guys have just started. You both hit your first few land drops, but nobody cast anything until this ball lightning that you apparently don't have remove soul for, so you just take 6 on the chin, which is, it's a start. There's Bloodmoon. Once again, all it does is cost you green. Rukh Egg's pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm getting that 4th turn Rukh Egg out. That's pretty strong. Then Strip Mine comes down here.
Yeah, so when his deck, his deck really wants to be the beatdown, and I think when it comes out slow like this, it's really a problem, because the longer the game goes on, the better it is for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he did get that early Blood Moon and the early Ball Lightning for 6 damage. That's something. But now I've got that Rukh Egg. Oh, that's critical right there. I got one of my 2 Earnums, and he has one of his 2 Remove Souls.
It's pretty solid.
But once again, I'm very fortunate to have my 1 forest here. There's only 1 main forest in my deck, so that's pretty freaking lucky. But I have 8 islands, so the Blood Moons. I'm really shocked that Paris did not sideboard out those Blood Moons, because they really don't hurt me.
I mean, he may have opted to take some of them out and leave a few in, but I think I would have just ditched all of them for hate cards instead.
Yeah, I agree.
So you're just, doing the thing, building up your mana base over there, waiting to see what happens. Here's another Ball Lightning, which isn't really even that good. You mana drain it.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I must have something big in my hand. Why would I do that?
I think I'd just let it run over the Rukh Egg and crack it open,
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm very confused by me burning, and I consider this wasting the mana drain.
Well, when you only have 1, you wanna space it out, but maybe you just felt like it was a good tempo play, because you get to play your trike and get to leave mana up still for like a remove soul.
Yeah, it does allow me to do that. I can get the trike out and still have my 2 islands for remove soul or whatever. Okay, so Paris has got a pretty full grip here too. He's really thinking about what to do. Okay, another Ball Lightning. Wow. Now that's not a great play, because he knows I've got Triskelion there, and I can just click that. I can do that damage to that guy.
That just seems real bad.
Yeah, that's not a good play. That must have been a misplay.
He may have either just not been thinking about it, or just knew that card was never going to be good for the rest of the game, so he might as well get one of make your guy smaller.
Once again, Paris is hitting a lot of lands.
I thought he might be really sneaky and Ball Lightning, and then you blow it up and then Chain Lightning your guy, which is what he does. He just had to wait a turn to do it because he didn't have enough red last turn.
All right, so I'm doing 2 damage to him now. Am I going to remember to bounce that Chain Lightning back?
So basically, it was just a two card combo to get rid of your
all right.
your Triton.
Yeah.
I think you are. gonna
Yeah,
bounce
now
it
check
back.
this. So I'm bouncing the chain line into my rook egg. Look
Onto the Rook egg. That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot.
Oh baby. Yeah, that's pretty clever, right? And he probably didn't think.
Well,
think
and then
about
if you had two more red, you could do it again, but you don't.
if I had one, all I need is one more red. I have this. I have the strip mine over there, which is a mountain because of Blood Moon. Yeah, so one more red, and I could have changed it back to him, which would have been wacky. But now I'm gonna get a 4/4 flying rook token at the end of turn. Although I'm sure Paris has his flash floods in there to deal with them.
Chain Lightning is a good card, but it's definitely can be disadvantageous sometimes in a match like this. I think I just made that up. So you're just gonna beat in with that thing until this game's over, I think. I mean, what is he gonna do about a 4/4 flyer?
Oh, he's got a couple of boomerangs. He's got 4 active volcanoes. He's got answers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He probably brought some of those things in.
Now look at this. Oh wow, he's gonna bloodlust it and chain lightning it.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. All right, you gonna get him for 3 with the chain lightning?
Am I gonna remember to do it? Is the question. Oh yes, I do remember to do it. All right, so that brings him down to 12. So 12 to 14 is pretty close, and he's dealing with my threats. But look at my hand, John. Look at my dice count over there in my hand.
Yeah, you just got a grip. You're just like,
yeah.
You are not worried about anything.
Yeah. Now he's got a bunch of cards too. Well, he's got 3. He's got 3 cards in hand, so I have twice the number of cards he has. He had to 2-for-1 me there, which is really, really rough for Paris, but it dealt with that rook. What is this playmat?
I don't know. It's weird. So what is it, like some kind of weird flash dance kind of thing or something?
I was wondering, is this like Staying Alive flash dance playmat? There's some sexy dancer and some dude. There's like, it looks like there's a it looks like a dance club scene. What were you gonna say, John? You were gonna say something there.
Oh, I was just saying there's been a fair amount of back and forth in these games. You know, you stick a threat, he kills it. He sticks a threat, you kill it. You know, it's really you're just kind of fighting for dominance here for somebody to actually stick something on the board. Is it gonna be this Zephyr Falcon? Will he go all the way? We'll see.
I'm wondering if I took my disharmonies out in exchange for, what if I just took out the disharmonies and the safe havens?
Oh, man. You have a boomerang here. That's
there's an active volcano. Boom.
Sad face.
Yeah, sad face. I mean, that's a 2-for-1 for me and right there. So that's rough for Paris.
He got no damage in with it because he, correctly wanted to play the thing before combat. So that's too bad.
Yeah, I mean that's the trick, right? It's like
and then you drop a maze. I mean, come on.
Well, but it's a mountain because of Blood Moon.
Oh, that's true. It's a mountain.
See me putting my dice in the glass beads on everything?
Yeah, properly marking everything.
Ooh, look at
that. I love
that.
that you're using the glass beads.
There's the artifact blast. Boom. Countering the Triskelion straight up. I love it. 1 red. Counter. That's great. Look at that, John. He that's exactly why he has the artifact blast in the sideboard, to counter Triskelion. Boom.
Well, and if he would have just let that card come down, it probably would have been game. So that's a huge shift to be able to do that. I mean, the problem for him is that you've just got a lot of cards, so you're just going to keep dropping threats, Although you apparently don't have any in hand because you're passing here.
So this is what I was talking to you about earlier. Look at how many lands I've dropped almost every turn. He's got 6
I
lands.
mean, having a lot of lands is good though, especially with the Bloodmoon out.
Yeah, but you know, what I found was I was just drawing land. Like almost half my deck is land, and it was really starting to frustrate me. And
I mean, you probably don't need to play anymore. Like, if you draw another land, you should just leave it in your hand and use it for Jaloom Tome fodder when you eventually draw the tome. Cause
right. Well, look at this.
No real reason to play it.
My hand
You've
is
got 9 lands out.
My hand was so full that I used an active volcano to return an island to his hand, and then played a ghost ship. Ooh, and I don't have 3. I don't have 3 islands. Oh, look at that! He active volcanoed my ghost ship when I was island out. Wow, very good, Paris. So I think that's 2 active volcanoes for him, 1 for me.
Yeah, and even without the Blood Moon, you wouldn't have had triple blue there. So, you know, that's Ghost Ship really has to just survive that initial turn, and then it becomes a problem.
There's a Jaloom Tome. Now that could help me a lot.
Yeah, that could change the game. That could turn it around for you and let you start drawing some threats for sure.
Now, speaking of the recent discussion of lands up front or creatures up front, notice how Paris is also a 93, 94, 95 player, and notice where Paris puts his lands.
Yeah, you guys are a couple of degenerates.
Are we? I mean, this is how we learned. This is how we learn.
I do remember people playing that way when I was a kid. I don't know that I ever did, but maybe I did. I don't know.
John,
what in the 4th edition gift box, which is the first thing that I bought, I think there was like a little a fold out that kind of showed you where to put your stuff,
and it said lands up front.
I would be interested to see. Did it? I think maybe it did.
It did. All the instructions, all the directions had lands up front. If you look at the old rule books, they have lands up front. And all I can tell you is how I was taught. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying what's right or wrong, and I know that they made a ruling on it, which I just learned recently, that there's an actual rule on this. But yeah, I mean, in 94...
Well, in Modern Magic, are they supposed to be below?
Yeah, there's some Modern Magic rule that tells you got to put everything up front. All your attacking creatures and artifacts and enchantments and your lands go...
Oh, just for clarity, probably.
Yeah, there's some clarity.
I mean, I feel like you're playing... Brian Weissman style, where every single card has its own little space. Like, you're not overlapping any of your cards at all. Like, he's got his volcanic stacked up and his mountains stacked up. But,
yeah, I don't tend to stack things separate. Yeah, my playmat's full-size playmat. I got a good camera with a broad view. You can see off to my right over there is all the boxes of cards. On the left side of the screen.
I've really cleaned my area up, but even still, I still have cards all over the place.
Yeah, it's the life of a magic dude.
It's just funny, like, I've had points in my life where I, got rid of all my cards and just didn't have any around, and then suddenly there's just cards on every surface again. It's oh, I heard Marcy groan in the other room.
Uh-oh, it's the pendulum swinging, and yes, your wife will groan. Your wife will groan about it. But, I mean... Oh, look at me. What am I? I'm flashing my ghost ship here. What's going on? So I've got a ghost ship and a rook egg and a Jaloom Tome. I'm really starting to stabilize. And I'm at 14 and he's at 8. So this is...
Yeah, it's just... like I said before, the longer the game goes on, I think the better it is for you. Because, something like a Flying Man right now is just garbo.
I thought this was a 2-1 match, though. I thought that he beats me.
Apparently it isn't, because it looks like you're gonna get him here.
Oh, wait a minute! What just happened there? I didn't block. Oh, because I couldn't regenerate. So I elected not to block the Flying Man, and I couldn't regenerate it. Oh, what's going on here?
You're gonna boomerang or something.
Oh,
no,
no! I'm taking the damage, and I am flash flooding his Bloodmoon. Now I can sack my. Now, oh, look at that! Now I can sack my Rook Egg to Diamond Valley.
Oh my God! To gain.
I'll
That's
gain.
just gross.
Yeah. Now all my lands are not mountains anymore. So I took that.
And now you can just maze this guy.
Yes, and I took that 5 damage. Now I can strip mine and. Okay, so I'm getting.
Yeah, but you should have just mazed this guy. You must not have thought of it. You didn't need to take any damage.
Oh,
like,
wow, you're right. I didn't even
good.
think about that. You're right. I could have mazed him. Okay, so now I'm Jaloom Toming.
That's pretty funny to have, like, all of these utility lands just come online.
Yeah, they just all come online because I just flash flooded that Bloodmoon out of existence. And I Jaloom Tome, I discard a island, and now it's the end of that turn, and I get my Rook token. So now I've got a Rook token and a Ghost Ship. And now I've got Diamond Valley back online. So, man, oh my god, I'm hitting in here for 4 plus 2. I'm hitting it for 6. Boomerang. Oh, can I remember to use the Diamond Valley? No. What? I could have gained 4 life there.
I don't know what's going on, Chad.
Why did I not use the Diamond Valley? That does not compute for me. Okay, I'm tapping 4 mana. Oh, that's why. I'm playing another Rook Egg. So I'm like, I don't care if you get rid of my Rook token. I got another one here for you, Paris. Okay, so now it's 12-6. I'm ahead. Now Paris can get through here. He can get through for damage with his Flying Man because I attacked with that Ghost Ship. So, oh, look at this. He's boomeranging the Rook Egg. Okay, well, I mean, I guess I don't care because I'm like, all right, I'll play it next turn. I don't want to sacrifice it, I guess. Oh, and Bloodmoon comes back down. Look at that. John, are you seeing this? Bloodmoon is back, baby.
I just had to step away for a second, but yeah, I mean, it helps, but I think you already did some damage by having access to those.
Well, I mean, the Diamond Valley is the critical card I need here. And he's turned it off with that second Bloodmoon, so I'm going to be like... Alright, there's the other Rook Egg. And I guess... And I attack for 2, so I'm getting Paris down to 4. Okay, so he comes in with the Flying Man. Gets me to 10. So 10-4. I mean, it's still not a blowout. Like, it's still a pretty close game. And if I hadn't been able to get rid of that Bloodmoon, I think Paris would have had this.
So when he played the second Bloodmoon, why didn't you sack your Rook Egg to your Diamond Valley before it came down?
I don't know. That's a good question.
The whole point of you not using your Diamond Valley on your Rook token was so that you could play the second Rook Egg and then sacrifice it. So I don't know. This might have been just like a late night game or something. I don't know. But like,
yeah, that seems like a misplay.
It's funny. You're gonna win this game anyway, I think. But there've been like 3 or 4 things that could have been a little bit more optimal.
Yeah. All right. Wow, I really did think that this was going to be a 2-1 game. Well, okay, so let's see. Here you're going to see what I sideboarded in. I guess it was 4 and 4, right? 4 active volcanoes and 4 flash floods.
That's pretty, pretty solid against a deck that's those 2 colors.
Right.
It's a lot of cheap removal.
Yeah, and look at that. I took out my 2 boomerangs, my 2. Oh, yep. I took out. What did I take out? 2 falling stars, 2 boomerangs, the two safe havens, a disharmony. Yeah, so I took out a lot of my mechanics and just put in these 8, cards that get rid of something for 1. There I am. There's my sharpied there's my sharpied safe haven. Look at that, John.
Nice.
Oh no, I do have both safe havens in there. Well, all right. So that wraps up Four Horsemen Tournament 13. Our last of the quarterfinals. The Disharmony Rukh Valley emerges victorious. Hats off to Paris for this fantastic blue-red unstable Bloodmoon deck. Like, I really feel like he got off to a bad start on game 1, John, right? With all the mana, like he just kept getting land after land. Like, there's only 22 lands in this deck. That's not, it's only 1 every 3 cards. I really feel like he got kind of mana flooded both games, to be honest. And I was really hoping to see Paris actually make it into the semifinals.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, his deck just needs to come out fast, and if he, stumbles a little bit, it's definitely more punishing for him, because he has nothing that can break through a 2-floor flyer, or a 4-4 flyer, in the case of your Rook tokens.
Yeah. Well, congrats to making it to the quarterfinals, Paris. We know we'll see you again. And Disharmony Rukh Valley is going to be moving on. So even here, John, I had it as 2-1 logged in Teleria. I guess that was wrong. It should be 2-0. So that means you and I face off in the semifinals in the next.
Is there a match missing on that?
There is. Yeah, I had to zoom up and down because we had a top 16 and a top 8.
Oh, right.
So like we're missing the top 8 a match because it wouldn't fit.
So by winning that match against Paris, you then have to play me in the next match.
That's
and
right.
I don't remember if we recorded that video yet or not, but
we did.
Sure it'll be a good one.
We did. All right, so that wraps it up for Four Horsemen Tournament 13. Thanks for watching. For all of you who are still with us, we're really thankful for all the players and the viewers and the supporters of the format. Check us out anytime you want at fourhorsemanmagic.com. All of our prior tournaments are listed out there. Just go to tournaments, and there's a full selection from tournament 1 to 14. And all of our deck photos are out there. You can see all these amazing old cards. Join us at facebook.com/group/fourhorsemenmtg. And thank you, John, for joining me tonight. You can always join us every Thursday night for Old School Magic meetups. We do virtual meetups Thursday nights at 8 p.m. CST, 9 p.m. EST. And if you want to play, you can join us there. All right, John. Thanks so much. And we are signing off, everyone. Have a good night.
Catch you next time.